Determination to change the nation, I'm manifesting the truth. Back in the booth to give you the messages that's been channeling right through me. No, I'm not Jesus, although my spirit is great. I'm eating my food without a plate, escaping this place through my meditations. New life begun when I reloaded the gun and realized where I was from was not too far from the sun. Like somewhere close by the moon. Now I'm connected like Zoom. On walks of life that ever lived, call me like out of the blue. So I just pass it to you, right through your speakers with clues. And if you choose to free your mind, then you will have all the tools. But I can't make you take it and shake it and mentally break yourself out. Cause freeing your mind without a doubt is something you have to try out. But once you see the light, your might, and all the power you've had, then you have reached the fifth dimension and you can brighten your path. But others who choose to follow the red pills, it's harder to swallow. Or you can wallow in your sorrows, feeling all empty and hollow. The only way you'll see the truth is if it's starting with you. So please stop lying to yourself, start being truthful to you. The only way you'll see the truth is if it's starting with you. So please stop lying to yourself, start being truthful to you, to you.
Yo, yo, yo. Good evening, people. I see it's already about 10 people on here. We are broadcasting live from LinkedIn. I see the 5 people on LinkedIn, 12 people on Facebook and YouTube. So thank y'all for joining us tonight. Yeah, man. So as you can see from the title and the stuff scrolling across the bottom, we got a couple of very important brothers on the show tonight. And they run 2 of the blackest black entities in Omaha. And so, yeah, I'm going to bring them on and let them introduce themselves. Brother Wayne D. Brown from the Urban League and Reverend Michael Williams from the NAACP. Here they come. There they go. What's going on, brothers?
Good evening.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Let me just
now.
make sure here we got some comments already. Good evening. All right. Hey, Autumn. So yeah, just wanted to bring y'all on. We had a meeting maybe a couple of weeks ago where I was able to get a better understanding of the organizations and what you guys do. Nikki said, hey, she was in that meeting with us. Hey, Nikki. And so, yeah, I wanted the people, the community to actually get a chance to not only see y'all and have a chance to answer some questions, ask some questions, and get a better understanding like I was able to do on what exactly it is that you guys do and how we as a unit can move forward in the community as a collective, because I think it's important for the people to see from grassroots to church to the organizations that we are working towards the same goals, which is the betterment of our community. And so I'll start with you, Mr. Brown, and give you the floor.
All right. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for having me here this evening. I'm so proud to be here with you, Sherman. So again, my name is Wayne Brown. I'm the president and CEO of the Urban League of Nebraska. The Urban League of Nebraska has served the North Omaha community for over 90 years. And we have really tried to encapsulate bringing folks together. Our communities from the 1917 burning and dragging across the street of Will Brown to the race riots of the 60s to the civil rights movements to the 70s and the Black Panthers, from white flight to redlining to all those things that isolated our community. We really are trying to bring folks together, bring them hope, and make sure folks have what they need to move forward together. So what does the Urban League do? The Urban League serves in 3 capacities. We help folks stay in school so they can graduate. We help folks find work and jobs. And then we work in the community to really do 3 things. With the main North Star is to eliminate the racial wealth gap in Omaha, Nebraska. And those 3 areas are affordable housing, making sure folks have a good, safe place to stay. Number 2, looking at make sure we have some small business ownership, because we think that's one of the pathways to wealth. and then home ownership was that other pathway to wealth. And maybe we'll go there today. I know the real way to actually eliminate the racial wealth gap is reparations, but right now I don't know if Omaha is ready for that yet. So what the Urban League is working on are those three levers we can have some handles on: affordable housing, small business ownership, home ownership through education, and workforce development. So basically, that's what we do here at the League.
Great. All right. So yeah, we want to give Reverend Williams a chance to talk about the NAACP. And then we'll, of course, take questions from the people in the chat on all three platforms. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give you the floor, Mr. Williams.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And hey, Nikki, good to see you again. NAACP started nationally in 1909 based on racial injustice in New York and lynchings that were going on. In 1914 and 1915, founders of NAACP reached out to folks in Omaha, and a pastor named John A. Williams actually was the first president. They started work in 1915 and were actually formed officially in 1919. The NAACP currently, we're not a program organization. We do civil rights through our committees. We have a legal redress committee, a housing committee. We have a committee on criminal justice. We have a political action and an education committee. As a matter of fact, there are lots of committees, but the idea is the NAACP is a volunteer-based organization. We do not have any paid staff here in Nebraska. We have a branch in Lincoln. We have a branch here in Omaha, and we are part of the Iowa-Nebraska state NAACP. We are called a branch, and we basically are a civil rights organization seeking rights. Through the years, NAACP built its name on legal cases that NAACP was able to win. And so we don't have as much access to lawyers here in Omaha as we do nationally, but we do have that connection. So I think that's enough to start off with. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this tonight, Sherman, and thank you for your leadership in this.
Oh yeah, for sure. I look at it as we have to get on one accord. And I was just saying, like, we don't even have to reinvent nothing. People in Omaha definitely laid the blueprint out for us in the 60s. And I think sometimes if we can just take a moment and look back at what they did whenever we had issues like Cameron Ford or anything that happened in our community, man, they it was a different ball game. It was a lot of outspoken leaders, a lot of I would say riots or anger that was expressed in many different forms. And so I think that for us now, when I spoke to what was his name? He used to be city council, not Ben Gray, but the other guy, Franklin Thompson. He told me back then it felt like everybody was for themselves after the Vivian Strong incident, because that officer was able to come right back to the community and police in the same area where he committed the crime. Wow. And so it broke the spirit of North Omaha. And then we went on this long punishment, right, where the Black Business District was not reestablished, and it turned into a place of just crime and statistics and data. And so we didn't get our businesses back. And when you look at places like South Omaha, Dundee, Blackstone, their neighborhood kids can come to that area and get their first job, and it'd be walking distance for them, where we don't have that access. And I think right now it's important for the community as a whole in North Omaha that we band together to reestablish a lot of those things, and then look at the new wave of doing things with the younger people. So definitely it's all needed. And like I said before, I look at North Omaha to me as a vehicle that's been driven for over 20 years with no work being done on it. And now everything needs to be done. So I think with the education piece that Mr. Brown spoke about, and then the advocating and justice piece that you spoke about, Pastor Williams, is important. And we would like to reestablish that. So how can people support both of you brothers, Pastor Williams?
Well, for us, it's volunteers. Our theme this year coming out of the NAACP National Convention was all in. And we need folks to be all in because, again, we're not a organization that has a large budget. We work based on volunteers. And so I can share our office number, my number. If folks are interested in serving on one of those committees or serving in the NAACP, we can get them connected. I see a question there. May I give the phone number right now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the phone number for NAACP is 402-345-1173. 345-1173. And I don't mind giving out my number, 402-679-3737. 402-679-3737. We'd love to have individuals that have time and energy. And, there's a lot that needs to be done. And there are a lot of parts to getting it done. So, you don't have to play the same part as somebody else. There's lots of things to do. So we'd love to have folks volunteer.
Right. And you, Brother Brown?
I get a little long-winded because I always kind of go to the history because Omaha has such amazing history.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about how the community and these organizations can work together, there are no organizations without the community. In 1950, Whitney M. Young was the CEO of the Urban League of Nebraska. Whitney M. Young went on to lead the National Urban League in the 60s. He sat with Lyndon Baines Johnson, Martin Luther King, Andrew Young, SNCC, the SELC, when the Civil Rights Act was passed. So just give me just a second to kind of talk about why it's so important that as a unit, we are locked in. In 1954, Brown v. Board of Education, and that was the legal case that ended segregation. But as you know, the white folks didn't allow us to be in every place at all time. It took until 1963 and bus boycotts for there to be the March on Washington. So 1954, Brown v. Board, segregation ended. 1963 was that March on Washington where they came together. It was 1964 that you got the Civil Rights Act of 64. In 1965, you got the Civil Rights Act of 65. It took all that time. It took like 10 years to get that thing happening. George Floyd was 2020. We are in the middle of this thing. We can't do this without you. So as the Urban League, there are multiple ways to get involved. The first big way are auxiliary groups. We have two groups of volunteers that help people register to vote. They help educate the community. The first one is the Urban League Young Professionals. They go by the YPs. And don't let the name fool you. You can be in any line of work and be in Young Professionals.
They tuned in right now on LinkedIn, the YP group. Shouts out to them. I see them doing major work. I love the Young Professionals. Man, they are, to me, it's an inspiration whenever I see them out doing stuff. So shouts out to them for sure.
Yeah. And they have an amazing young leader, Davio Phillips. He is everywhere.
Amen.
We also have the YPs go from age 21 to age 40. And then from 40 and up is the Guild. The Urban League Guild has been around. They're the rocks of our community. They're the bricks that make up what North Omaha is. Every young professional aspires to be a Guild member at some point. But because there's been such demand for those who are over 40 who don't feel like they're quite ready for the Guild, in the next coming years, in 2025 especially, we'll be putting a call out for what we call Urban League influencers. Okay. And that's urban leaguers who are age 40 and up, but aren't ready for the Guild yet. So that's just any community member, anybody who wants to be in the fight, in the movement, can join. But starting off at the YPs is a great start. moving over to the guild when you get there where you want to be. And in the middle, you'll have the Urban League influencers. And then unlike NAACP, where it's all volunteer driven, we are a civil rights organization with a service component. And that service component does need funds from time to time to help kids in after school programs, to help kids who are missing school every day, to help kids who wouldn't need to graduate. You've heard the Black College Tour. You've heard of our back to school bashes. You've heard of our IM conferences for young ladies, volunteers, funds to help those. We have folks who need work that we help connect up to jobs. We got small businesses who need to find loans. We try to pull that together. So from K through 12, kindergarten to 12th grade, from college, from trade schools to training, to the workforce, to you retire, the Urban League has something for you to get involved with. So please, NAACP, Urban League, we aren't anything without the engine of people to help get us through.
Yeah, appreciate that. So let's get into some of the stuff that I asked y'all originally. And I mean, like I said, I was able to get that understanding, but I think it's important for the people to get it. Hey, Iris, how you doing? I do want to shout out Miss Lewis. At first, LinkedIn comments didn't come to the channel, and I would have to answer them separate. But I see now something done happened because you're getting the LinkedIn comments.
We got an update.
Yeah, look at Micheal. Hey, thank you for the Urban League partnership with UNO. So yeah, we getting some of the comments from LinkedIn, and I'm happy y'all joined us tonight. I know it's a late show, but I like to do it when everybody's settled in, probably done already put your kids to sleep or whatever. So yeah.
And I got to shout out Micheal. She's the vice president of the Urban League YPs. Thank you.
Okay, Micheal. Okay. VP Micheal. We better put VP in front of that. Okay. Yeah. And so hey, Iris, I just wanted to get to like even with Miss Jones, with Nikki, there's a lady named Arlena who you kind of familiar with, Pastor Williams. And some of the issues that we faced in the community, what I was getting all the time was it seemed like that both organizations was absent from the community. And I think when you spoke on that, Mr. Brown, that, you've only been in your spot for 3 years, and that, there was some prior leadership or anything that we felt like was not in tune with the community. So my job as a grassroots person is to bring us all into that room together. And we don't want to not acknowledge that, but at the same time, how do we move forward together? So I don't know if y'all know, people, but we've been texting and talking now since that initial meeting. It's been a beautiful thing. And I love the fact that we can put whatever differences or anything that we had aside, or I don't even really think it was differences. It was not knowing each other. Pastor Williams brought that up. We didn't really know each other like that. So in order to get to know each other, we got to talk. That's what we got these mouths for, right? These teeth and all that. We got to talk to each other. And so I don't think it was a matter of not being active as much now. It's just that, how do you get into those spaces where you don't want to step on somebody else's toes? So if you see the grassroots people tackling the issue, you don't want to just jump in and say, hey, we're the NAACP or we're the Urban League and we're tackling this issue on top of, whatever y'all got going. No, we have to work together. So even with Pastor Williams, he got a different group of people. Mr. Brown got a different group of people. And so with the church folks and the elders, we can tap into that now. With Mr. Brown and his resources, we can tap into that now. And we have to make sure that we understand that each person, like Mr. Brown said, we all got a role. It's a machine. And there's pieces that don't work without each other. Like you can have nice rims, but without no tires, you ain't rolling, right? And without that microchip, you're not rolling. So I just really, really want to thank both of y'all for one, taking the meeting that we initially had, and then for coming on here to speak to the people, because clearly they appreciate y'all. Mario said, yes, sir. They appreciate y'all and they want to see us work together from each level. Mario is a part of the motorcycle club. So, eventually we'll end up bringing more and more people together. And that's what I think is going to be important for all of us. Nikki said, thank you to y'all. So if anybody got a question, you can go ahead and put that in there in the comment on any post, since we are grabbing our LinkedIn stuff. And so like when Nikki talked to you about her situation, Pastor Williams was not a part of the NAACP, and she had an issue in Council Bluffs. And so I was probably the biggest critic of all of the organizations at first. But now that I've gotten to know you brothers, and I understand the importance of what you do, that education piece with you, Wayne, I would like for you to kind of expand on that so the community know how they can get their children involved with the education piece. And then also the when you were speaking about the small business people and the piece on how they can take advantage of the Urban League's input and influence on that.
You know, I'm going to give the phone number to the Urban League first because when I
There
give
we
the phone,
go.
I'll forget that. So first, the Urban League of Nebraska, we're located on 3040 Lake Street here in Omaha, the heart of North Omaha. And the phone number is 402-453-9730. That's 402-453-9730. The education piece is the part that, you know, everybody kind of has that feeling. If you were an Urban Leaguer, you had that feeling in your heart where if you had touch with the Urban League early on. So we have after school programs. We are a licensed child care facility in 3 facilities, Franklin Elementary and King Elementary. And then we have an after school program at Monroe Middle School.
Take some notes, y'all. Now, come on.
So how you get involved, let your school counselors know, let your building principals know that you want to be a part of that after school program. We have amazing things happening in STEM training, tutoring, reading, karate. We got drones. You want to do things, you want code. We do all that stuff in the after school programs.
You said coding?
Yeah, we do coding.
Oh, man.
I'm
a nerd. I love coding.
Code Black with David Pollack is one of our partners.
Oh, yeah. I went to school with David.
Yeah. So we try to make sure young folks, we fill that out of school time with really enriching activities for them to do. And then don't forget the summers. If one of your children go to any of those schools in the summertime, we have summer programs that happen in that after school program. We take them on field trips every week. We go someplace fun. We take them out to the amusement parks. We take them over to the Fountain Forest. We go out to the museums. We do all the fun things, do enriching things in the summer. For those kids who are missing a few days of school, if you have a young person who's missed more than 5 days of school, we have a program called the Youth Attendance Navigator Program. They're located in 4 middle schools, 4 high schools here locally in the city in OPS. And a school counselor can get them connected to that program, and we will wrap around services around them to make sure they finish out that year and graduate. We have kids who join the program in middle school, you know, at the bottom of their class and graduate to be the president of their school. It's amazing to see, and they go on to college. It's a beautiful thing. And then we have our Whitney M. Young Project Ready program, which is college readiness, career readiness. So anybody can join that. Usually a good time is junior, senior year, go on that Black College tour, learn how to fill out the financial aid forms, the ACT. They help put me on the right path. So the college program is pretty amazing. We have what's called the I Am Girls Empowerment Conference that happens every year. Between 150 to 200 young ladies come out and have a good time. Last year we had Brandy Harvey, the daughter of Steve Harvey, came out and gave an amazing speech to those young ladies, who then went on and we have a documentary premiere with Brandy and a good friend of mine. Lots of good stuff happening in the school program. So that's the school piece. So I don't want to go too far because you might want to go later on.
And I do want to just acknowledge exactly where the Urban League is located, 3040 Lake Street, right on the corner of 30th and Lake. And I want to also acknowledge Autumn. She said the Urban League and Mr. Brown was instrumental in redefining the Gap Summits and creating a safe space. Thank you, NAACP and Pastor Williams. Did an amazing job with partnering and co-chairing the redefining the Gap Summit. So thank you. Brother Jay Reed said your summer program is good. Sunchild, she said, I would love to see more Black founded nonprofits coming together as a united force, trading services, whatever we need to do to provide positive dynamic experience for our BIPOC children. And brother Mario, the problem is getting the young kids to join. Most will not go to their counselors. How can we get them signed up if they won't go or don't feel comfortable going to their counselor?
Yes, if you call the Urban League at the phone number I gave a little bit earlier, Miss Rosetta is going to answer that phone. Miss Rosetta has been a staple at the Urban League for many years. She'll make sure she gets in contact with the Urban League employee at that school and we'll do is we'll start trying to find them. And once we find them, we have to make sure we get the parents' permission to reach out and talk to them. So, so if you can't get a counselor out to them, just call the Urban League. Let us know what school you're in. If we're in the building that your kid is in, we'll find them and then reach out to you and try to get them signed up into our program. So, don't let those barriers stop you. We know that is an issue. But I do have to say one more thing on the education piece. We have a partnership with UNO, and we have Black Study courses at the Urban League during the daytime and in the afternoon, and they are accredited courses that the UNO has on Urban League's campus. So you come to Urban League and get actually accredited courses with UNO in Black Studies, and there's nothing like studying Black Studies in a civil rights organization. So we have next semester there'll be sign up, so keep an eye out for that.
Good. Pastor Williams, you mentioned when the the NAACP started, there was a lot of help with the legal issues in the Black community. And one thing my sister Iris is going through is finding legal representation for herself. And I actually struggle with that when I'm going through things, even like with the housing authority and those kind of things where they have kicked me out of any public housing authority any public housing that they own simply for voicing the concerns of the community. How can we reestablish some of that legal help in the Black community? Is it the funds, or what do we need to do to help you guys get that back going?
So we have a legal redress committee that hosts a legal clinic at Mount Moriah Baptist Church in our Heritage Center each fourth Friday. So this coming Friday, I believe it's the 27th, from 10 to noon, there will be lawyers available, no cost, one-on-one conversation with a lawyer about your situation. Sometimes those lawyers will take a case. Generally, they're there to give some understanding and direction. Now, more than that, though, we've just established a relationship with the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, and their program director is on our legal redress committee. And so we have a cross-pollination there where we possibly can engage with some lawyers from ACLU. The legal clinic is a partnership between NAACP and the State Bar Association and volunteer lawyers. But the challenge, honestly, and I think one of the things we have to talk about is some of what we're dealing with is long-term fixes. Okay, it's not going to get fixed tomorrow or next month. Okay, we need individuals to go to law school. Honestly, we've got a handful of African-American lawyers in this city. And it doesn't have to be an African-American lawyer, but we all know we feel better. We feel more trust, right? If it's an African-American lawyer. And we just do not have enough. Mr. Brown is a lawyer. He can talk to us about, the numbers. It's not good. And we don't have, like the national NAACP, lawyers that we can refer people to just right off the bat. Right. And so the legal clinic is one step. Honestly, it's been growing. And so I would anticipate as that goes forward, we'll be having it more often. But right now you can count on from now to the end of the year, each fourth Friday of each month.
Okay. 10 to noon. Stephen Abraham got a question. He said, is these programs working with our local representatives and city council?
I would say yes. If you were to pop into my office on any given afternoon, you might see some members of the council there. You would find me on many days a week talking to our Douglas County representatives. I don't see our state representatives as much as I'd like to, but we are working on that.
Right.
It's what the Urban League does. Chris Rogers, Douglas County Commissioner. I'm gonna coin this phrase. He says that the NAACP is the Department of Defense, and the Urban League is the State Department, which does mediation and counseling. So we have two different roles. So when I'm talking to business leaders, when I meet with the governor, I'm advocating on behalf of civil rights in that way. But when we're doing programs, we're just doing programs. Those programs are funded by the city, some funded by the county, some funded by the state. So we are working pretty closely with our government partners.
Okay. And Mario said, I work with doing community events for youth. What can my organization do to aid in the efforts of getting the youth to the right people? Is there any information or pamphlets available?
So I'll take that one for Urban League, and I'll let you go, Pastor Williams. Urban League, again, feel free to give us a call, go on the website. But if you come to our office on 3040 Lake Street, there's always pamphlets and handouts that describe the programs and how to get in contact with the program directors.
Okay. Pastor Williams?
I would say we have what a youth council for teenage youth. It's 12 to 17, and then there's a college age as well. But I'll be honest, NAACP really suffered during COVID, and those organizations are just established. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting with Matt Ray, Superintendent OPS, on October 3rd to get clearance to do a youth council out of Central High School. So, that's kind of where we are at this point.
Okay. Apostle Javon Chambers said, hey, family, had emergency, but glad to see you fellas representing together. Miss Marilyn said, don't forget about Urban League Financial Empowerment Program.
Yes, so Marilyn is my right hand there.
Yeah, amen.
The financial empowerment programs help you get a job, and then also works on your credit score, savings, to try to eliminate that racial wealth gap individually. It's a big thing when you have power over that credit score.
We need all that. And Iris said there's no lawyers and our rights are being taken. And Jay Reed said, just curious, what right do you feel are being taken? So from my standpoint, I can answer that, Brother Reed, only because I feel like I have a right to advocate for those people in the towers, right? So when I'm advocating for those people and then I get threatening emails saying that if I show up on another property, then I will be arrested and charged with trespassing. That's a right. I have family in those towers. I shouldn't have to face a trespassing thing for one. I didn't violate no law. And for two, I should be allowed to visit a family member. You as the landlord should not be able to control who comes and visit their family or even advocate for the people. So that is one of the rights I feel like is being taken. And I've struggled to find anybody that is willing to legally help me get that removed. And just because I think, Miss Joni Poor, she's appointed by the mayor. And so I haven't been able to find nobody that's willing to take that legal action. Nikki said, hey, Marilyn. Oh, he said, yeah, you and I spoke about that, and that I agree on. Paul Philman said, Wayne Brown, how have things changed since out of Omaha?
So out of Omaha. So on my part-time, I own two businesses. One of those businesses is a film production company, and we produced the film Out of Omaha with J. Cole being executive producer. And we followed two young men in a program that I helped create about 15 years ago. And it won the best documentary at the New York Doc Festival, and we got a chance to go across the country talking about that film. The story of Darcel Trotter in Out of Omaha, it informs everything that I do. During my time at the Urban League, and the Urban League is like a baton that you hold. Chief Warren had it before me. I have it now, and I will pass on to somebody else when it's their time. But while I have it, my thing is, what would have Darcel needed to be successful in North Omaha? And I believe from that film, he needed the community to come around him to support him. And we call that social capital in the research. And there's research that says that you can move up to another income class more than just a job if you have the social capital, the friends. It's really about who you know that can get you there. And so really surrounding people who are successful. So we try to do that at the Urban League. We make sure we show people things that are big and outside of what they see every day to increase hope. We feel like hope is strong. Hope is powerful. Hope will make you know that tomorrow is better than yesterday.
Man.
And Darcel has that hope. And then to make sure you have agency. That is great. Somebody helped me along the way, but I'm gonna coach folks to help them get to freedom, to agency. That this journey belongs to me, and when I get there, I'm gonna help somebody else find that path. And so, social capital, hope, and agency are things that came out of Omaha, and we put into practice at the Urban League every day. So, yeah, out of Omaha, this is the sequel, is what we're doing here at the Urban League.
Okay. And Stephen Abraham Sherman, have you contacted Omaha Housing Authority commissioners to address? I've contacted everybody that I could contact. I can't show up at the Housing Authority building because of the same. They put it on every property that they own. So if you got any other assistance that you think you can help me with, Stephen, just let me know. Iris said, I think as Black people, we need to take it to the streets like back in the day, and people need to stick together. And that is exactly what we started off talking about, is in the 60s, the people really stuck together and they did take it to the streets. And everybody had a different moving part. You might have had people out here rioting, but then you had the people in the legislation showing up 20, 30 deep to change a rule. Then you got the people who's talking to the chief, the mayor, the governor, and all that stuff. And there was so many moving parts. Pastor Williams, what would you say to that comment that Iris just said right there?
Well, first of all, I want to just celebrate Mr. Brown, because he and I met together. We've known each other, but we hadn't really discussed on a professional level with our organizations, right? And so we met together about a year ago, I guess, or a little bit more, and agreed that we were going to work together. And then there was some division in our community about some of the plans that are being made for buildings and so forth. And we came together and just tried to bring some unity, some understanding, just tried to mediate that situation. And so, first of all, I just really appreciate working with him. And then I think the idea is that we need to have our people understand they can be on boards and commissions, whether it's a local or Omaha board commission, a state board commission, a county board or commission. There are a lot of, let me say it this way, other people that have information and get things done because they have people serving on boards and commissions that they may not be paying, but they're serving on these in these different roles, and they're able to funnel information to the community that we otherwise wouldn't get. We always say we're the last to know, right? Well, we're not the last to know as it relates if we have folks serving in those kinds of areas. And so I said it's a long-term process. That's something else that I think we need to develop. We need to develop in our community. And I think the idea, Sherman, of you and I and Wayne and Pastor Cavett, all of us and brother Robert Penn and others being on that camera together when we did the press conference, I think that's a great start. And I just think we need to look at the challenges our community faces one by one and come together with solutions. You and I talked about a situation with mothers and young sons not long ago. And I'm serious, I'm passionate about that kind of thing, because we have been a people of accomplishment, of dignity, and there's no reason for us to be hurting one another.
Right. I want to go to the chat again with a question from Miss Cheryl Weston. She said, Mr. Brown, you never answered the question. What has changed since the Trotter story? What has changed for the youth?
Oh, goodness gracious. Yes. Thank you for reminding me that. So what I was saying is that a lot of the work that we did in that film, a lot of the solutions are right now happening in programming at the Urban League. With Mr. Trotter, my goodness, I wish you could see him today, both him and his brother. It's the power of, if you plant the right seeds, what happens over time. They moved to Grand Island, and they started first a appliance business, and then a cement company, and then a construction company. Wow. So the brothers, they have a business, and they are doing amazing things. There was a set of floods a few years ago, and their concrete business is perfectly positioned to start building out roads and sidewalks. And so them brothers are doing some good work. Darcel's daughter is the same age as my youngest. She's 10 years old now. She's amazing. So no, Darcel's doing well. and he comes back to speak to young folks from time to time. So next time we show out of Omaha, I know that he'll come back to Omaha and tell you how he's doing himself. And what has changed for the youth, the youth is still struggling in a different way.
Man.
That was all before the pandemic. And so what we're seeing today, we're seeing suicidal ideations. We're seeing violence and guns in a different level. There was a shooting at Northwest from a type of student we hadn't seen gun shootings from before. So our babies are hurting. And so, we need to come together around them and surround them with support. So, yes, we still have a lot of work to do.
Word Up 402 podcast, and we would love to have each one of y'all come on the podcast sometime. Shoot me a message. I can definitely be there, and these brothers, I'm sure, is open to it too. Another question from Miss Weston: what is the NAACP and Urban League doing about what is going on behind the back doors at the Douglas County Youth Center? Pastor Williams, you want to answer that one first?
Well, I'll be honest. I don't have a large role in that. I have communicated with Chris Rogers actually from the very beginning. But in terms of today, not so much, to be honest. I would say this. I know Chris gets a lot of negativity behind that whole thing, but from my perspective, Chris told some of us pastors back in 2015, 2016, somewhere in there, when all that started, that there are too many kids that the county does not have a plan, a program for. And by shrinking the number of kids that that facility holds, it forces them to do something for our kids. That's the idea. But people have, kept individuals from that facility even being open. And so my position is open the facility, use it, but provide programming for those other kids, because there are a number of kids in the current facility, the old facility, that shouldn't be there legally, but legally they're still there. I mean, illegally they're still there because nobody's doing anything about that. And to be honest, that isn't something that we have attacked. Honestly, we need a few more soldiers, honestly, to deal with that.
I was actually going to say that because, there's programs that can be created outside of our community, which is all great. It looks good on paper, but unless we're tapping into the people who's been through these types of struggles and figured their way out, and you're going to go ahead and fund those people, then I think the young people just have a hard time grasping on to the people that they have in place to do them. But what I run into is I deal with a lot of people between ages 8 and 12. And before they ever get into the system, and the mom's like, hey, I'm starting to notice stuff, there's nothing for those children. There's nothing for them. And I'm one person, and some of the people, they're one person. I remember when Barry Alexander was here before he went to Chicago, shouts out to him. He took in a little boy from me that was 12 years old, on drugs, running away, and he had the rap house, and he let the little boy come to the rap house. But you know what he did while he was at the rap house? Waited till everybody went to sleep and stole stuff. But then, we was able to still talk to that little boy. Sure. He's doing a lot better now, but it was the effort that Bear was willing to give him because he was just out here and not being obedient at home, being kind of abusive with his mom and grandma, and he didn't have a record. So there's nothing for the young people. And he was 12 years old, but he was like 6-7 feet tall. This boy was big. And so when you see them on the street in a hoodie, you think they're an adult, but that was a 12-year-old boy. And there was nothing for him to do. And so when Miss Weston talking about this Douglas County Youth Center thing, I don't think locking them up is necessarily the answer. We have to have, like you said, Pastor Williams, more programs that they can get into, because there's nothing for them. Before we had different stuff, the Wesley House, the Boys Club. It was so many things that we could do back then to utilize and take advantage of our time. And when you don't have it, it's the devil's playground, or somebody will find something for you to do that's going to benefit them, or they're drug selling or hiding guns or whatever. And you pay those kids that little bit of money to do that stuff, and it's a wrap.
Well, and a lot of those kids have been traumatized through different things that have happened in their lives, and there needs to be addressing that side of it. as well.
Yeah. Wayne, I'll give you a chance to answer Miss Weston's question here.
We are in the
Oh,
areas. Oh,
just quickly, she said, I'm not talking about the new center. I'm referring to the 42nd Street Youth Center. The population is close to 90% Black, brown youth from 68110, 68111, and 68104.
so we don't do the juvenile justice component. We're mostly prevention, but we have partners who do 360. We have folks who have other partners like Roscoe. We've got folks doing that work like Maze, who are doing that work in the community. And so when we find young folks and families who are in that situation, we make sure we refer them to those other programs. Again, that happens usually at the front desk or where our partners are in the school. So we haven't really been in that issue. We've been letting the folks at the grassroots level handle that. And then the folks who do juvenile justice in our community, who work that problem every day and who have expertise in it, they're working it every day because it's the funding of those programs. It's the county, the city, the state, federal dollars need to be going to the folks who are doing that work right now for free. There are so many folks in this community doing this work for free. And they need to be funded. They've got the cultural competency. They've got the respect of the young folks and families on the ground. These programs need to be funded, and because these programs are funded, and it's a game, y'all. If they're not funding these programs, we get to keep them in this bigger facility, leaving that other facility empty. And so, that's the thing that we should be advocating for is funding for these programs that are going on at a very small level that need to be scaled up and made bigger with the folks who are doing this work every single day.
Yeah. Do you see her other question? I think you kind of answered some of that. She said, why can't the Urban League get some of their programs in the Douglas County Youth Center?
We talked a little bit about this earlier. There are folks doing amazing work. Maze is another one. It's a partner, and they should have more funding. See, here's the thing: the Urban League sometimes can be seen as the big dog, and when we jump into an area, all the funding then would come to us. When there are folks who do this job every day at a better level than we do with youth juvenile programming. So I would advocate for Maze to get more money to do that work because they're working with these families every day. They do amazing work, and they need to get bigger. And they need to get bigger with more funding, so they can hire more staff. So no, there's lots of folks out there. Goodness, there's Rise and there's Reconnect. There's all these different programs that need more funding to work with that population. That's just not what the Urban League is in right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it would be good to talk with Chris, but specifically, maybe we could put together some type of joint effort to push to get that other facility open so that there's not that many kids in on 42nd Street. Because again, legally, we had a justice disparities conference about 4 weeks ago on a Friday at the Harper Center. Chris presented that day, and he shared that that's one of the problems. The law is being broken by those folks who are in charge, but nobody's calling them on it. Right. And so maybe that's what we need to do, because there are kids there who legally shouldn't be there. And then, that's the same thing that's happening on the national level. We got a felon running for president. So.
I think we can work together, shine some light on that issue. One on the issue and those families, but also those programs that are out there doing this work every day too.
Yeah. I was wondering, like, even for a person like myself, or you was talking about Roscoe Wallace, or the individuals who don't quite have a large organization, but like with your name, like you said, if you have the name and you come in and you say the Urban League will take the funding for this, is there a way that we can develop something where, you guys can get the funding and then dish it out to those people who are doing the work, whether it's through contract or whatever, so that way we can still be effective with the young people. But like for me, I personally don't want a nonprofit. So that's why I can't get the dollars that people say I should be getting, because I don't want to go through these hoops, and I don't want to play this nonprofit game. I want to be able to be as effective as possible, which is for me being able to go to their schools, go to their house, talk to the parents and the child, and then have like a Rolodex of people or programs that I can refer out and make sure that they're getting the access, because some people won't come to the building. They won't come into the meetings. They won't come ask for help. But when I can recognize that they need the help and I have a resource that can help, for me, that would be good. Then I can just go where they at, meet them where they at, and then be able to provide that resource for them.
I would definitely be open. I'd be definitely open to something like that. To be able to get the talent that's out there doing this work at a high level, to get them to be at a scale. So yeah, the Urban League would definitely be open to doing and exploring something like that. That's a great idea.
Okay. And Ms. Weston said, if you have the partners, then why aren't you getting in touch to get those programs? You should be able to channel some of the funding that you were talking about to get the youth into those programs that are doing the work. And that's pretty much what I just said too.
Yeah. So we do partner. We do referrals back and forth to each other. We share caseloads. There's one partnership that we have with Charles Drew Gold Center and the Concord Mediation Center, where we do wraparound services with other partners. So we do refer back and forth. The thing is we need a funder to fund those, and we are a prevention program. So but we can definitely see if we can see if we become like a warehouse for those funds and identify those partners doing that work at a high level, and then making sure we can be a fiscal agent sponsor for those. So
right,
we've had a few programs like Autumn was talking about when we talking about Redefine the Gap. We were able to find some funds and then get some funds for that program. So that we're definitely open, and we've done that. But we just haven't done it in this space yet, but definitely open into looking to do that. So, but yeah. I know those CEOs face to face. We see each other all the time. We meet at the Empowerment Network 360 meetings. We talk about those solutions. The Empowerment Network just got some money to work with some folks to put some partnerships together. So it's a matter of funding. Yeah.
And I want to say something to the community that's still tuned in, that when we talk about funding, right now, we are the ones funding the United States when it comes to artists going platinum, movies being box office hits, clothing lines, Gucci, and all this stuff. We need to be more stingy with our funds and fund those that we do see in the community that don't have these big organizations, but you see them doing the work. How about let's try to fund some of them to get more money, so that way we can be more effective in what we're doing. Jay Reed said the Empowerment 360 meeting is a great source, and Nicole said facts. Nikki said facts, because right now with the community, we will spend money on things we like, $30,000-$40,000 cars and rims and stuff like that. But when you look at the ownership of the community, what do we actually own? You can go to a car show and see lots of money. Where is that money that should be going into saving our youth? Because right now, like you said, they in a crisis, man. I hear young 10, 11-year-old kids talking about guns and pulling up on people, and they struggling with drug addiction already. But they're not going to walk into a building and ask for help. But as the people on the streets, like Mr. Reed, when you are coming across those children, we could actually get them to, even if it's just to meet in the car real quick and talk to them and then speak some sense into them. But then we have to have something where they can make money, because there's money being made on the streets. I'm gonna tell you that right now, bro. And so if we ain't turning them, because the young people, they not finna go for nothing that's not making no money. So if we can't turn them into something that's making money, and also helping them with their addictions and the things that's going on and the way that they're thinking, reprogramming, right, then it's ineffective. And so I think that that's going to come with more and more partnerships and collaborations. When and where are the meetings, Jay? I think she's talking to Jay Reed. Those are Wednesdays at 2 o'clock at the Omaha Home Boys, right there on 52nd and Ames.
Yeah.
Ashley said, yes, youth are attracted to money. Yeah. Yes, the need opinions on money. Yeah, they do. The money part is huge. And so when you talk about Sundiata, who does youth development, and he's job training and OSHA training and licensing and stuff like that, we need all of that right now. There are some programs right now at Metro where if you're, I think, 18 or 19, You can go in,
Yep.
pick a trade, and get paid to learn the trade. And then when you come out, you get a job. My daughter actually went through it. She's 24. She went through the pharmacy tech trade, and she got paid while she was doing it, and then came out and became a pharmacy tech right away. Yep. So I was able to get like 4 or 5 of my nephews and nieces all in that program. My neighbors, anybody I talk to, I tell them about that program. That's through Metro. And so if you are not aware of that, I can post that information on my page, and you can get your children involved. My son start culinary school pretty soon. So there's plenty of things that we can do to empower the youth, but we have to have the information and then have the ability to pass it on, like through people like Mr. Reed and others that have a connection with young people in their ear. But like Ashley said, the youth are attracted to money. Yep. We have to have something that's focused on money. So we are 4 minutes from an hour. I usually like to go about an hour because we kind of late, and it's about to be 9 o'clock. I would encourage anybody who have extra questions or you want to meet these brothers in person, that you can contact the numbers that they gave out, look up their addresses and their location, and you can set up meetings with them, because it took for me and like 5 or 6 community members to go in there, and it helped me gain an understanding on what they are doing. And I appreciate Miss Weston for the tough questions, because we got to be able to have these kind of conversations. But I would encourage Miss Weston and anybody else with those same types of questions to come talk to these brothers, and let's get a clear understanding. And like our initial meeting, it was emotional. There was some disagreement. There was some yelling, some talking. We had to hash it all out, because that's what family do. And I look at North Omaha as one big family. So we got to be able to have those questions answered, ask the questions respectfully, and then move forward as a unit, because right now it's more important than ever that we join together. And like I said, we've reached a pivotal moment in our city's history where it's time to put aside the old issues that have caused so much division amongst us. Not because of some new grant money. That's not why we're putting it aside, but we got to do it because it's a necessary step towards uniting as a powerful force. And only together can we dismantle the oppressive systems that have burdened us for decades. And it's real serious. Mr. Reed said, my apologies for missing your message. I feel like taxes should be lowered, and the state should have a section of money put towards redirecting our youth in the Urban League and African American Empowerment Network and programming like them, so we can truly afford the people that can truly make a difference. And then you're talking about a state that is red. I'm gonna just say that. And I don't know how much invested they are into putting more money into helping us. So we definitely have to add our help ourselves. Ashley said, please add your contact information in the comments. I can do that. Mr. Abraham said, we got a multifaceted issue going on in our community where we mix a lot of stuff that is good with bad. I appreciate the honesty and the individuals on that live. Yep. Autumn said, from personal experience, Mr. Wayne is more than open to sit down and meet with people and hear them out. And I appreciate that. And Ms. Weston said, this is great, but you should be having a contact with Metro and other organizations that pay Metro to put on some of their programs. That is correct. Yeah.
I would like, I'm not sure if we're going to stop right at 9, Sherman, but I just want to encourage folks to vote. I want to encourage folks to encourage their family members to vote, get them registered, get their neighbors registered. I know people feel like it doesn't make a difference, but really there is a difference in what the different people who get elected are going to do. And there are differences right down the line, whether we're talking about who's running for president or who's running for school board or who's running for a judgeship. All of it matters. And I would encourage us to encourage our folks to get out, register, and vote.
And I would add on to that, not only vote, y'all need to start running too. You need to start running for some of these offices, sign up for some of these councils and commissions, like Pastor Williams said. We need y'all's energy out there.
Yeah. Marilyn said crucial conversations are needed. One thing I would like to add, to Miss Marilyn and to the women in our community, one thing about y'all is y'all do keep us in our place. like as far as on point and with the direction. And so for me, I've been with my wife 27 years, married for 22. And I will say that the woman, how God created her, is what completes a real man. That completes you as a man. And
Now
so
that's biblical, Sherman. You're talking Bible now.
Uh-oh. Okay. But I'm just saying, like, the women in our community is so important, and they keep us on top of things, and then also acknowledging that the powerful women that can hold their own, we need to continue to uplift them, like Miss Cavett and Juanita, who's on the city council. We have to continue to make sure that we are acknowledging and respecting those women, because right now at this point we need all hands on deck. Denisha said, thank you for this conversation. Yes, ma'am. Jay Reed, voting makes a difference, but we have to educate ourselves on who these people are and what they are planning in office, which is true, because we'll see their signs during election time. Then after that, they gone, bro.
And that's part of what we said this afternoon. We've got to stay in touch with them, follow up. Don't vote and go home. Vote and stay involved.
Yes, gotta vote and stay involved. Thank y'all for everybody who tuned in. Micheal said, thanks for letting me listen. Girl, you definitely can listen anytime you want to. I'll make sure I do more invites on LinkedIn. I'm happy that they finally fixed this where we can get these comments straight from LinkedIn right in. And he said, vote for Preston Love. Yep. We got to make sure that we are putting people in positions to be effective in our community. And maybe if I can figure out a way to be a little more political, I might run for something.
All right,
now,
look out.
Amen. You know what? Right now, only thing I'm running for is I'm running on this treadmill every day to try to get some of this belly fat off me, so I can breathe and not sweat taking 5 steps. You know what I mean?
That's right. Health is wealth. Health is the new wealth. Yes, yes.
Health is definitely the new wealth. Stephen Abraham said, Kamala said we must vote and be woke. That's true. Micheal smiled. You should definitely run for something, bro. Hey, I'm thinking about it other than running on that treadmill. So yeah, appreciate you, Sherman. Thank you, Marilyn. Yeah, I appreciate you and all the women that keep us in place, because not only keeping us in place, but holding your place and holding your ground on a lot of things. I've come across and met so many powerful women. And part of the pledge, the Melanated People Pledge, is I pledge to protect the queens. And so I live by that. I was raised by women, from my mother to my aunt to my foster mother. All of that was a pivotal pieces in my life that made me who I am. So I will never, ever, ever forget the contributions that the women make to this community. And man, I love y'all for sure. He said, I won't run, but I'll definitely help behind the scenes. Brother, we need you. And just like we need you, Dr. Phillips, we put that doctor on your name. All right, so we're going to get out of here. What is, Wayne, let me get your phone number. I'm going to post it in the comments again.
All right. Let's see. The Urban League of Nebraska's phone number is 402-453-9730.
All right, hold on. My fat fingers wasn't ready. Hold on.
It's all right.
Okay. All right, what was that number again?
402-453-9730.
Okay. And then NAACP. All right, go ahead.
402-345-1173.
There we go. So in case y'all didn't see it or hear it earlier in the show, you got both numbers there. And like Autumn said, they are open for conversation. I think our meeting wasn't even planned. I just said, you know what? We going to talk. And the next day we was talking. And the next day after that, we did a press conference together. That's how fast we moving right now in this community. My cousin said, thank you for organizing this. Yeah, you know, I'm only following God's orders, and we got to make sure we keeping God first and giving him all the glory.
Amen.
That we doing. And to this time and moment in history, because this is supposed to be happening right now. So it's nothing that I personally do. It's everything I get my commands from God. So I got to keep following orders or I'm going to get a whooping. So, all right. So let me see. Let's set a time to talk about the girls' school. We are starting in North Omaha. Yes. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I will bring you on the show to talk about that. Rael said, rooting for you guys. Amen. It happened. Yes. Thank you all. And Mr. Watts came in with a final question. What when are the monthly meetings for the Omaha NAACP?
Mr. Watts, I hate we're having this tonight for one reason. That is, we met yesterday. NAACP meets on the third Saturday at noon. Third Saturday at noon. In October, our presenter is going to be Bree Full, District 2 School Board member at OPS.
Okay, good. Oh, Ashley said yes to the girls' school. Yeah, definitely yes to that. We need to definitely get you on, Doctor, to talk about that because I didn't have no idea, and I need to make sure we highlight that. Nirel came in, my Sudanese sister. She said, "Sorry, I came in late. What is the NAACP? If you want to just break that down real quick."
The NAACP is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and it started in nationally 1909, here in Omaha 1919 officially.
Okay, and there is a video on the Facebook page, event page that I created that goes over the history of the NAACP and the Urban League if y'all want to check it out. And Mr. Watt said the location, Pastor Williams.
Location of the meetings are at Mount Moriah Baptist Church, the lower level fellowship hall, the Heritage Center. Again, noon on the third Saturday.
Great. Yep. Yes, sir. That girls' school is needed. So yeah, I just want to really, really, really thank you, brothers, for taking the time out on this Sunday night to have this conversation, to come in and talk to the people. Well, the people that I'm associated with. And I know, like I said, once we get off of here, I'm gonna check the numbers and see who was really watching. But it's good that we was able to have this conversation and they can see us together. Mr. Page, Brian Page, Pastor Page. Let's put the pastor on there. He said, "Good to see you brothers making a difference in our community." Yes. And Apostle Chamber said NAACP meeting is hybrid. What do you mean by that?
We in person and on Zoom.
Oh, in person and on Zoom. Okay. All right, cuz. Thank you, Arlette. Love you. Love you, brothers. We gotta continue to have these conversations, and not just conversations, but keep putting action into what we need to get done around here. He said, "Can you provide a link? Do you have a link for Apostle Chambers?"
If that, yes, I can provide a link. I just need the person's email address.
Okay.
Our secretary will send out the link. And Apostle Chambers joined us yesterday, so we appreciate his presence.
Okay. Yep. All right. Paul said thanks. Rael said amen. I love that. Thank you all. And with that, we are out of here. Peace and hell grease in the Middle East. We'll holler at y'all later.